not really.
Okay. Well, hey, I'll go ahead and boot her up. Hello, everyone. Starting a few minutes early, but I'm joined today with Raymond Wallman, creator of the Airplay Documentary. How are you doing today, Raymond?
Hey there, Tachyon. Great to talk with you again.
Yeah, it is. So, you reached out to me recently. You wanted to talk about how things have been going since the release of your documentary. Um, and I figured, what the hell? Let's have a conversation. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, just in well, been seeing some good gains around the Sweet Baby Inc. controversy, though now things have started to drop off a bit. Things have now started to drop off a bit, and was expecting to get new subscribers or some new patrons off of the recent appearance of on the Eric Hunley podcast. You watch that?
I did not know. He interviewed
Oh,
you, or what happened?
yeah. He actually reached out to me for the interview, and so I went on his show as well as James Desborough of Inside GamerGate, who wrote the script. And yeah, that was the most recent thing to come up. He interviewed me about the documentary and about GamerGate and that subject and whatnot.
How'd the conversation go?
It went well. I haven't li- I haven't listened to it yet because I'm the kind of person who doesn't care for listening to their own voice.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And just looking for ways to just get this get this out there, spread the word of Airplay, and hopefully get more people to sign up to the Patreon to help put this to help get this out there, without the because without people investing in it, there's no way I can distribute this any further.
Well, let's. So, where is the Patreon money going to go, and where's it going currently?
It's currently it's currently sitting in an account. It's currently sitting in an account. I only have like a few hundred coming in monthly.
So it's sitting in an account. What do you plan on using the money for?
Mainly, well, either have to get the film reviewed by a fair use attorney. That's one thing, or to pay for E&O insurance. That's errors and omissions insurance, just in case there were any kind of oversight that any kind of copyrighted material made it into the movie. That would cover the claims and whatever adjustments need to be made, and for renting out possible theater spaces. I put on Kotaku in Action whatever. I asked Kotaku in Action about where would the likely audience for this movie be, because I want to go to the spaces that have the most people who would the biggest audiences, and nobody responded to that.
What, like in terms of theaters and cities, or?
Yeah. I live in New York, so I would probably start with New York first.
It's a big market, so.
Yeah. And there's and I want to get something. I want to have something done by the 15th anniversary of GamerGate. I feel like the a screening of this documentary in a theater would make a good 10th anniversary celebration for it.
Do you feel like you need to do the lawyer, hire the lawyer, and buy the insurance?
Yeah, it's kind of a necessity.
Why? As far as I'm
As
aware, I saw the documentary. I'm not a lawyer, but it looks like all the stuff that you were using was fair use. You didn't use like entire segments of stuff without context or anything like that, from what I saw.
yeah, yeah, though it can be a real pay. It can be a real dealing with copyright and fair use issues. It can be a real pain in the ass for anybody who's uploaded stuff to YouTube in the past decade or so.
So, how much is that going to cost you? Have you looked into the estimates of how much the insurance and lawyer is going to cost, or either or?
A lawyer, a good lawyer, that would probably be a few thousand. I've looked into the insurance, that could be anywhere from $50 to $100 a month. A really good insurance, probably a few $100s a month. And renting out a theater, that would be like a few that would be like a few $100s, a new, maybe for 6 hours, which is what this film would have to be. That would probably be a little bit more. And yeah, because I've gone on to some specialty screenings just within the past few months, and the people hosting it was like, okay, we got a hard out. They want us out of here within the next hours. So theaters can be big sticklers for stuff like that.
So,
And
good.
yeah. Yeah, and aside from that, I want to press some blue I want to press some Blu-rays, DVDs, maybe some DVDs maybe for the backers, and yeah, I want to make sure that. And if you're pressing Blu-rays and DVDs, you have to know if everything is really on the order there, and and finally, my final goal is to have this film available on popular streaming services like Netflix and Hulu, and what else? Amazon is very Amazon will host anything, so that's very likely.
Well, what steps have you taken to make that a reality?
I've so far been I've well, mainly uh, the steps that I've taken is just crowdfunding and trying to get people to sign up to the getting people to sign up to the Patreon, spreading the word. Though at times it can just feel like you're shouting into the void. Not sure. It's not certain whether your message is meeting the people who need to hear it.
Who needs to hear it?
Basically, the people who are either curious or sympathize with, or those who sympathize with Gamergate, people who want the somebody who wants the truth to be shared and the truth to be known. And that this documentary is probably the single most concise, singular visual document of what occurred in that tumultuous year. And people are already talking about, and you've done so in your interviews, talked about how people consider Gamergate to be the first major battle of this current culture war. And I think that because information today is so nebulous, people are so siloed that it's very hard to communicate between people in different information echo chambers. I feel like this documentary, since it revolves around a singular event, a singular, uncontestable event, which is the the SPJ airplay discussion, that it is less subject to doubt and questioning than than a documentary that is mainly just, you know, face to the camera testimonials, talking heads, whatnot.
You know, Raymond, a lot of people make videos. I make videos.
Yeah.
A lot of people write books. I don't think most of these people buy the insurance. I don't know if that's really a necessary expense, unless the theaters require it or the distributors for like the streaming
The
services.
distributors kind of require it. Like if you look on Gravita if you look on Gravitas, I think it's called Gravitas Ventures, or I'm not sure. If you submit a film to them, they require that you have errors and omission insurance.
And who's that? What company is that?
Gravitas Ventures, they're the ones who put out the Cassie J documentary, The Red Pill.
And they're the ones who are going to distribute your documentary on physical copies or
Uh,
digitally or both?
well, they're an example of a company that requires errors and omissions insurance in order to distribute a film.
Okay, that's not really a world I know anything about, so I can't really offer much guidance there. Now, in terms of promoting it, I don't know what to say, man. I'm trying my own shit right now, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's going to work out. I've reached out to some podcasters, YouTubers, streamers, even mainstream media and GamesPress too. Some people are getting back to me and wanting to schedule. Some people aren't. Um, so it's just, I have a whole bunch. I have a whole list of other people I want to contact and talk with in the future too. I'll be reaching out to over the coming weeks probably.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Just grind and grind and grind and grind and grind and make. Chat suggested this too. Make like a pitch, about why they should talk with you about this, why you think it's important, um, things like that.
Yeah. Uh,
So like that's one idea. I've already kind of done that. I made like some pitches, and sent them out to people.
yeah. I just don't know where like, it's like what marketing people say, that I'm wasting half my marketing budget, but I don't know which half. Where it's a very nebulous you don't know don't know exactly where to sell your.
Well, I've got so GamerGate. The way I see it is it touches upon a huge number of different areas.
Yeah.
So there's like a bunch of different. communities that would be interested in the story, right? So I don't just look at it as a gaming story. I think there's people who you could I think focusing just on gaming and only reaching out to like gaming content creators is a bad idea. I'm talking to
Mhm.
everybody. I talked to Karantos the other day. I'm not sure if you saw that stream, but he's literally just a kick streamer. He plays games online sometimes, and he he does like politics and Islam, right? And it talks about that.
Yeah,
Like that's
and
that's so far removed from like what you would think of as being like a GamerGate specific, but he was interested in hearing about the topic, and his audience was interested too, and so I talked with him.
yeah,
But so GamerGate, right? It's what is it at this point? It's gaming, it's politics, it's journalism, it's the culture war, it's people who are interested in social justice on both sides, right? The people opposed to it, the people for it. Um, it is history, it's internet history, it's video game history. These are all these different niches. It's also people who care about harassment too. I'm not sure there's like harassment podcasts, like probably not, but so it touches upon like so many different areas, and so just like I don't know, I'm putting feelers out to people, seeing who wants to talk, who doesn't want to talk. Um, so I don't know how successful that's going to be. I've only started doing that in the past week, roughly.
yeah,
Well, seriously, at least for the last week. So yeah, that's one thing. I'm also planning on. I'm not sure if you saw the private video I sent to the interviewees.
yeah.
Okay, so like that's one thing too, right? And that's I'm gonna completely rework that. Not completely rework it, but I'm gonna substantially rework it. I'm gonna have that come out both as one big video and then also as a bunch of smaller videos
Mhm.
um, that are like each segment like meet Tachyon Blue. Find meet the author, and then like that'll be a video, and they're all gonna drop like on roughly the same day, and I'm going to try to get a hashtag trending on that day too.
What do you do to get a hashtag trending?
You just get a lot of people talking about it, I
Get a
think.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Uh,
So all the interviewees, and then plus the other people in the audience, my audience, and elsewhere, I want to get them to do that. I've also gotten a bunch of the people who I've interviewed, and also people outside of that too, um, to make videos, to make short video testimonials talking about why they want the project to succeed, why they think people should support the project, why it's important to them, things like that. And I'm going to release those both individually and as part of a compilation once I have all those
mhm.
videos. Which, by the way, are you going to make one?
uh, about your
Sure, yeah.
project or mine?
Well, I mean, you can
Uh,
do both, I guess, but
I, I'm, as you can probably tell, I'm not really fond of appearing on camera. Even during the Eric Hunley interview, I mainly did it without a I did it without a camera. That's
well, that's
and
something
I'm
too. I
not
got a
really.
webcam now, by the way. Um, I've got
Yeah,
a.
that.
So I actually I literally I could turn it on actually probably right now. Um, but I'm wearing a shirt that would dox me, so
Oh,
maybe I won't do it right
yeah.
now unless I want to change clothes real quick. But
Hmm.
yo, I think a lot of these people, a lot of streamers, YouTubers. I don't know about like podcasts as much. I don't care probably. Um, but a lot of those places they'll probably be more willing to interview you if you have a camera. That's why I bought one. I bought a webcam. And also I think it's important if I'm going to be asking people for money that I show my face.
Yeah, that may be something that I have to get over in order to do this thing. I'm sorry if this has turned into like if this has turned into a kind of therapy session, but
That's kind of what I expected, to be honest.
sure.
But like, no,
Yeah.
I get it. It's frustrating. And can I bring up something you said to me in private? If you don't want me to, it's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's just about you mentioned that you didn't feel like there was as much community support as you would have hoped.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? What's all going on with that?
Well, considering if say let's look at Kotaku in action. They have like 100,000. They have 100,000 followers. If that if everybody on Kotaku in action were to just give me $1, that would be more than enough to fund whatever kind of promotion and distribution for this film that I would need. Though it's though it's unrealistic to expect everybody from Kotaku in action to just give me $1. You need to have for absolutely nothing in exchange. So I decided to put out the first part of this documentary for free and keep the second part of the documentary available only through Patreon for like just for $10 patrons. And seeing a few dozen extra patrons because of that, it hasn't gone nowhere. There's certainly been it's certainly reached a good number of people. I'm just not sure how to, connect with to connect with everybody else who might be sympathetic with this documentary's mission and not engage in just like outright spamming of anonymous users on Kotaku in action.
Well, is it important to you that the people who watch the documentary be sympathetic to GamerGate? Because like that's already that's a lot of people who are sympathetic to GamerGate, but that's also a limited number of people.
Uh, it doesn't matter if people are sympathetic to Gamergate. I've actually got one person who subscribed to the Patreon just to hate watch my documentary. That was an interesting exchange.
Have you reached out to so you say you're reaching out to people who are sympathetic. I guess for like so you can talk with them
Or
about the doc. What do you mean?
sympathetic, but or would be, amenable to hearing about the who would be amenable to hearing about this narrative. People who would like to see, who would be interested and curious about an alternate narrative to what has been put out by the legacy media.
Well, I don't know if that's also probably like a relatively small niche group of people. Have you
Yeah.
thought about finding ways to to I guess reach out to different types of communities for one? Like I said, like history. This is history at this point. There's going to be people who are just huge numbers of people, millions of people who are interested in the topic of history. Um, and a lot of people, rightly or wrongly, I think wrongly, have like this idea where they've worked the GamerGate shit into like their entire political belief system, and they think that like GamerGate caused Trump to get elected and, and Brexit and all this stuff. Like there's and there's so many different areas where you can expand just beyond people who are sympathetic, and I do hostile media too. Like I'm not afraid to do hostile media. I reached out to Kotaku. They declined, by the way, to talk with
I
me.
would
But
I would
I've
imagine.
I've reached out to Kotaku. I've reached out to Polygon. I've reached out to other places. And I'm not sure Polygon would be necessarily hostile. Um,
Yeah. Did you ever get a response back to what was that university?
Lawrence Technical University (LTU). They replied the first time to me, and then the second time they didn't reply. But I
Uh,
sent them a huge amount of information. It's possible they're still looking it over. I think most likely, though, I think that Paul Jawson, the person who created it, who's running the conference, I think he is leaning towards only doing a one-sided narrative instead, which I think is unfortunate. Um, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I guess you can't. You can't. Not much we
Yeah,
can do about that. I wouldn't. I
I got a
wouldn't. Go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, I got a response back, and it was a very boilerplate. I'm thank you for your interest. We're not taking any more submissions for things for this festival, and it took them like a day to send me the reply. So I assume they might have watched the entirety of part one, and I'm not sure what they thought about it because part one does not even mention Anita Sarkeesian at all.
Well, I.
And though
Oh,
I guess they kind of intuited like the stance that was going to be taken just from the first part.
yeah. I don't know if they watched it or not, Raymond. I'll be honest with you. I think that they're a little bit closed off to the
Hmm.
idea of hearing out a diverse array of perspectives. But maybe
Yeah,
that'll change. I'm going to continue to talk about their conference publicly, um,
yeah,
and that's not going to
I've
change.
ent
But I'm going to be
yeah,
obviously. I've been very respectful in how I do so, and I even toyed with the idea privately of like contacting like someone higher up at the university, but I decided against it actually, because I believe in academic freedom. I think that if they want to do this conference this way, they do, I think, have the right to do that. I think that that's worth protecting their freedom to do that. But I strongly recommend that they be ethical. And if they
yeah,
don't, if they end up spreading misinformation at the conference, especially since we know what they know, since I sent them a huge number of sources and a huge number of I sent them basically a super long email in response
oh,
when it was clear
oh,
that they were kind of going.
that's
And then,
yeah, yeah, sending super long emails, that's probably not the best.
well, it wasn't that
They
long. It was like
if
it was a few paragraphs, but like it was a handful of paragraphs. But like I wanted to make sure that I sent them like a lot of sources. And so I wanted to make sure that they had all that information. And maybe they're still looking it over and they're gonna be open-minded, but we'll see.
yeah, like for email for messages like that, you want to keep it at like 2 or 3 paragraphs at
I'm
most.
really bad at that, by the way. I'm
Yeah,
really bad at writing short emails.
yeah,
I mean, all my emails are either super short or they're super long. One of the two. There's no in
yeah,
between.
yeah, and yeah, I've entertained the idea of setting up a screening of my documentary around the same time that they're doing this, like that they're doing whatever the symposium is. Hello, you
Yeah, I'm
there?
still I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't really have anything to add. No, I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. Because I feel like we're trying to work within the academic system, to try and I guess convince them not even to promote a specific idea, just to be open-minded. That's all we're asking. And getting shot down like this, it's frustrating,
yeah,
obviously,
and
because it
considering
would
that
be a
they're
huge a huge deal.
yeah,
Okay,
they're
because like
academics, that
if
their goal should be the pursuit of truth and knowledge. But
yeah, I agree 1,000%. That's what they should be loyal to. But I don't know. We'll see. It's only been like a week and a half. I sent them so much stuff. It's probably gonna take. It could reasonably take them probably about a few days. They should have replied by now. They haven't. Um, but it would be a huge deal. Like
yeah,
if these people were neutral, that's all we ask. Neutrality. Just be fair and be honest. Um, if they were, if it would be a huge deal for those of us who believe that the historical record on this has been like fudged in a huge way, which it has been,
yeah,
just like objectively,
yeah.
that it
I
would
don't
be a
know if
huge deal
there's
if this panel of academics like helped. We're allies. I feel like trying to bring them on board as allies would be useful, but
I don't
we
know if there was any kind of comparison you can make in history where I'm sure that there are that of something, not of extraordinary, something that was reported incorrectly for like for well more than a decade, and but the sources and evidence argues against the mainstream narrative. I don't know if there's any kind.
I can't think of any
Arguably, that's
example
all
on this level, like especially. I mean, obviously,
well
there's different like incidents of like
that have
specific
many
stories getting it wrong.
interpretations,
All right, or
but
have many interpretations, but like this specific one being
yeah,
so entirely botched. I,
yeah.
I can't think
By
of any other example,
let me
to my knowledge in history, of this happening.
yeah, there though, as Napoleon said, history is a lie agreed upon, and that there are many instances of in history where what we're really just treating as fact is really just the propaganda of kings. And but in very recent history one single where one single event occurred where one whole where one entire opposing perspective was just shut out of the conversation entirely.
I do. There's another phrase I've heard. I don't know who said it. But that there's always, you're referring to like the history is written by the victors kind of thing.
Yeah,
There's also another one which is history is written by historians, which like I think probably is more accurate. And in a free society like ours, I think the historians, people like you and me, I guess, really,
yeah,
are probably going to be the ones who establish the truth on this in the long term. Um,
that's the goal, really.
yeah, and that it might not happen soon. It might not happen this year. It might not happen 2 years from now. It might not happen five, but it's going to happen
Hopefully,
because there's just too much evidence,
yeah.
and there's too many people who
So
have an interest in seeing what really happened, I think.
yeah.
Well, anything else you want to talk about?
Uh, Other than checking out the Eric Hunley interview for you and your fans and anyone out there, and subscribing to the Patreon, just if you want to see Airplay reach a wider audience, just $1 is just $1 a month is enough to help that going on, and $10 will get you access to the second part, to the entire documentary. So
Well,
yeah,
are you still streaming like Sonic and other games?
yeah, been I've been working on that. I've been working on that, trying to start streaming so you know, just as further promotion of the film. Though I have no idea what I would what I have no idea how to start streaming, what to play, and you know, do people care if you just start streaming in the middle of a game?
I don't think people care if you stream games at all because I don't think anybody's going to watch. No offense, Raymond. I don't just say that to be. I say that as a joke, really, because um, just being a video game streamer, if all you're doing is streaming games, you can do that and you can make money off of it. But the vast majority of people are going to be unsuccessful. And so you have
Yeah,
to like think about what you're going to add. And maybe you can add something that is unique. Maybe it's your gameplay skills are really good. Maybe you can add comedy to it. Maybe you're able to like speak eruditely about a large number of topics. But
Yeah.
it's I wouldn't look at that. That could be something to promote the project. Like I stream,
Yeah.
but like I don't do gameplay streams as much. I've done a couple, I guess,
Yeah.
in the past, but
Yeah. It's just a way to justify gameplay sessions that um you know you're streaming it, so it's not entirely uh, it's being used for a purpose. Though recently I've been just playing on my Mac here and not streaming from a console. So okay, is that it? You there? Hello?
oh, sorry, I muted myself. Um,
Oh,
I started playing a new game last night.
yeah. What was
Indivisible.
Indivisible?
It's a
Oh,
platformer with like an
Indi-
RPG kind of like element, but it's kind of weird.
yeah. I believe that was animated by the same person who animated Skullgirls.
I've
I
actually
believe he
never.
goes.
God.
I've yeah. He I believe he goes by the name Persona Sima, and oddly enough, he was one of the first people that I subscribed to on YouTube. Because he had just these really nice student animations, and it looks like he took that and actually made a career out of it.
Well, good for him. Yeah, I'm hoping to
Yeah.
make a career out of this too. Let me ask you this, uh, Raymond. So I plan on raising enough money to cover my living expenses for about 1 year with my crowdfunding campaign when I eventually do it. Do you realistically think I have a possibility of succeeding in that?
Well, judging by my own success at it, I I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Just, but I would just recommend to not quit your day job. To
Well, yeah. Well, that's yeah. Well, I think there's a chance. I think that I've got enough people backing me and endorsing me privately right now. Um, and I think that that combined with it's just see the way I see it is it's gonna fail unless I make it succeed. So I need to put in place all of the steps that are necessary to be successful, and that's what I'm working on right now. Well, right now I'm trying to finish Pocket Shop's interview because I want to. I came up with the idea for the crowdfunding campaign like when I was like a third, like not even a third, probably like a fifth of the way through his. So I want to finish his first. Once I've finished transcribing that, then I can turn my attention, and I've already started doing some stuff behind the scenes to do the crowdfunding campaign. Um, one person actually suggested I reach out to you and see if you wanted to make a trailer,
oh, perhaps I could. Yeah,
but I
perhaps I could.
I believe people should be paid for their work though. So
Yeah,
I would have to set aside extra money from the crowdfunding campaign um, to do that. Um, so I don't know if that's really an expense I could justify, since I want to keep it um, only expenses that are required, really, right?
yeah,
But it could be worth it because how many more extra donations and how many more eyeballs are you going to get on it if you have a good trailer,
yeah.
right? So yeah, just you don't have to give me an answer now, but like if you want to shoot me some quotes about what you're thinking, just like a couple minutes, you know.
Sure, I could give you some. I could probably give you some notes from that earlier video you sent.
Yeah. Well, huh. I started playing Kingdom Hearts, the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly what I've been playing first they first Death Stranding was released onto the Mac, onto the Apple App Store, and I just wanted to try that out and to see if it would actually run on my Mac, because Macs are not well renowned for as game machines, and ended up getting really sucked into that. A and then I found a PS2 emulator that works really well for Mac, and so I've just been playing that most of the time, going in recent weeks, playing through many of the Silent Hills and whatnot.
So you talked about doing something for the 15th anniversary of GamerGate.
The 10th.
No, you said both. You said 15 and 10th.
Really?
Oh, that was a misspeak, maybe.
Yeah, it probably was.
Or I misheard you. But okay. So I was about to say, I'm like, well, 5 years from now, you still plan on? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, I don't know. I've been trying. I've for the past couple of years, I've just been trying to. Well, for the past couple of years, I've been working on this documentary, but that was what I was really hoping that would I would be able to earn some revenue off of. So I really kind of left to no other option.
Well, I know how that's gonna feel. So I actually do have a long-term plan. I'm developing one for what I want to do after I finish this project.
Yeah.
And I've got a side project I'm thinking about working on too, but that's way off in the future because, well, I'll just fucking say it. So there's this multi-user dungeon convention in St. Louis,
Really?
and I went last year. Yeah, you know multi-user dungeons, like the text-based MMOs.
Uh, no, not really.
Okay, well, like, do you know like Zork, like the old text-based?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like Zork, but with hundreds or thousands of other players, um, all logged on at once on one server.
Yeah.
And there's tons of these out there, but this is it's called SimuCon, SIMUCON. I've got permission from the because I went there last year, and because I had like a mild interest in learning about it, and it was actually kind of cool. And I don't think I'm gonna be like a player of the games. It's a massive life sink, as those people will tell you. Um, but because it's in St. Louis every year, I figured this year I'm going to go there and I'm going to interview people about it, and I'm going to release that as a book too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but like that's going to be a super small, you know, thing. So since it's literally just like a 4-day weekend, me spending 4 days interviewing people, and then I'll transcribe them whenever I get a chance to it. But like that'll be fast. I can get that done in probably like a week or two.
Oh, one thing that I was just reminded, one thing that I've wanted to do for a long time now, and will probably do after this project is done. You know how my how the name of my Patreon is Metalhead Motion Pictures. Well, that was because I've had kind of a lifelong interest with studying like the similarities between music and film, and if it was possible to have like for a film to capture the same qualitative experience that you have when you're when you're listening to metal, just that very just that just that energy and emotion that hits you when you're listening to the best of rock and metal, and just transplant that into a film. And I've thought about doing a series that charts the history and parallels and aesthetics between movies and music, probably starting from the early 20th century. And I've asked, yeah, and I asked James Desborough if he would like to narrate it. That's a sub because he's a big metalhead, and yeah, always that's something that I've always wanted to work on, a new manifesto for a manifesto or guide to creating heavy metal motion pictures.
Well, go for it, man. I'm
Yeah,
all I'm pursuing my dream right now. Well, not perhaps at the very moment, but with this project and with me becoming a political live streamer, a journalist, amateur historian.
yeah,
It's I've never felt more passionate about something than I do with currently with this.
yeah.
So go for it.
You too.
Cool. Well, hey, anything else you want to talk about?
Uh, Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, hey, I guess we'll go ahead and raid somebody here and then close her down. I'm not sure if I'm gonna edit anything tonight. I kind of want to relax.
Yeah, that's
But I might. I got two more interviews. I got an interview tomorrow. Well, being interviewed tomorrow by Murkoff de Perk. Do you know who she is?
oh, no, not quite.
Okay. Well, she's a kick streamer. Like does
Okay.
variety streams, like just talking mostly streams and stuff like that. She's been on Kick or Keep a couple times. And then on Wednesday, I'm finishing my interview with Chris Ferguson, or not finished. I don't know. Maybe we'll finish it, but most likely it'll be a part 5. But I'm doing part 4, Chris Ferguson's interview on Wednesday, and then Friday I'm finishing Pixel Metal's interview. So
Okay.
busy week.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
again.
Yeah,
Thanks
well, hey,
for
let me ask this
oh,
too. Like, what do you think about how the conversation went, Ray?
this
Like,
conversation.
yeah, like what did you want to come out of this, and then do you feel like you got that?
Possibly just, possibly just clearing the air, getting my thoughts out. Uh, uh, just elaborating on whatever ways to further uh, bring attention to our different projects. So
Yeah, well, if anyone in chat has any questions, feel free to send them. I feel like we can go a few minutes longer. Oh, we haven't gone an hour yet. I feel like wrapping up in about an hour is fine if that works for you.
yeah, that's it's in about an hour, or
Well, no, an hour since we started, so about 12 minutes.
yeah,
Or all
not
right,
much more I can think about
we got a question here from
other than
Porcelain Chips.
yeah.
Raymond, what video editor is best in life?
What video editor is best in life? Oh, but I've mainly used Final Cut Pro, but that might be my uh my lifelong my my lifelong dedication to Apple products. It's when you go out into the field, when you look for work, there people are mostly asking for Adobe Premiere, but I'm more accustomed to Final Cut Pro, and that's what I've been using.
Have you thought about translating your movie to other
Translating?
languages? Yeah, to other languages.
Not that I can think of. AI, AI can probably take care of that.
Well, I've actually been looking at translation a little bit lately, like in the past couple days, because I'm doing the Kickstarter. I think a stretch goal should be to have it translated, the book, multiple volumes of the book translated in other languages. But I'd have to get cost estimates for that. Like I want to get it in at least uh, Mandarin or Chinese simplified, French, Japanese, Hindi, and Spanish, and like there's some others that would be nice too, like Portuguese, Korean, German, Arabic, Russian, and like I actually have a list of languages I would want to do if I raise enough money, but I'd have to look at the costs really, and that's
Yeah.
not something I've not looked into the costs yet of the estimates. Um, reached out to a publisher, like a self-publishing firm, basically, to see what languages they support for publishing. And so hopefully when
Yes.
they reply to me, that'll give me more information about which languages I should focus on. But I want this to be like a real historical work, not just in English, but like in other languages too, ideally, where anyone, well, not anyone, I guess, because I'm not going to do like all 10,000 plus human languages, but like anyone who speaks like one of the major languages on Earth or can read it, I guess, really, that they would be able to pick up the work and learn about GamerGate um, that way, whether they're in well, I guess some countries have censorship, but like whether they're reading Chinese or whether they're reading German or French or whatever it happens to be. Um, I think that would
Yeah.
be a really important stretch goal to have, but I really have to get cost estimates down because it could be super expensive given how many words there are.
Yeah. I've sent you a link to the Eric Hunley podcast featuring me and James Desborough. You can probably listen and watch that. Watch that after this or whenever you can get around to it.
I'll be
And
honest, I probably won't, but I probably will reach out to him. I actually planned on doing that anyway.
oh, you
I
did?
want him to interview me. I will reach out to him. I didn't know you were interviewed too. I saw Grim Jim was just on Twitter. Um,
Uh,
so
well, he actually reached out to me because he saw my uh, film posted under a tweet from Elon Musk, and he approached me to do it, and I said yes, and I told him about James Desborough, and he decided to reach out to him.
Mom, Porcelain says get Mamba to translate. That's an idea. But again, I would want to pay people for their work if you're gonna. And then Kid Astro says use crowd work to translate the thing. I don't think there's that much interest. I don't. I think the number of people who like read all of these different languages and write them, and also have interest in translating for free, especially um, this like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of words, is probably not going to happen. I don't think there's a level of interest. No, maybe like if this was 2014, 2015, maybe even 2016 Gamergate, maybe even 2017, like maybe there'd be the interest in that at the time, but I don't think today. I could be wrong. Maybe there is, but also
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to like trust necessarily. I guess like crowd translated things. Like I don't know. Like um
Uh, As I said, AI, that's where the industry is going. That's
Chinese will translate it just to poke fun at Western culture. Yeah, China is a big one. I think Hindi would be a big one too. Billions of people on both. But also, French is spoken in a lot of different countries. Spanish too. Um, but yeah, I feel like it would be really worth pursuing. I want to find a way to make it a reality, the translation. But I'm not even sure if the Kickstarter is going to succeed or not. Like AI, is the AI pretty good for translating stuff? Is it?
uh, well, it's it can only get better from here.
I wouldn't
So,
trust a machine translation. I want a human involved.
well, you could have somebody review. You could have the AI do the translation and have somebody review the translation.
Anyway, that's one thing I'm really wanting to weigh, and I want to get estimates and stuff for the cost of that. Unfortunately, Amazon, their KDP, Jesus, they only support a small number of languages, and even some of those are restricted languages too. I also want to do Ukrainian as one of the languages if I raise enough money, because something for the brave soldiers who are fighting in Ukraine today, something for them to read in their spare time.
Um, yeah. Well,
Cool. Well, hey, any more chat questions before we shut her down? Keep dreaming, Tachyon. Yeah, I saw you say Tachyon not living his dream. True. Um, this project is partly my dream, I guess, but like building this, succeeding in this, and then building that into something better, I think is my real dream. And I want to change the
yeah,
world. I think that I'm a fairly intelligent person. I'm a fairly hard-working person, most of the time at least, and I think I have a lot of value that I could add to the human race. So
yeah.
I don't want to be stuck
That's
behind a desk all day, and I don't want to be stuck um, working with working behind a restaurant or whatever. I want to be doing real stuff. I want to
yeah.
be
That's my
good.
yeah. My problem as well. Like like I've had an idea. I've had an idea to on how to reinvent our ta- though our not say the tax code, but the way people invest in the way people invest in like social program social programs and utilities and whatnot. It could change the way that we look at civic engagement. Only I have no idea how to implement it because I have no idea how to build a online social network.
You want to build a social network essentially?
Yeah, it's my idea. It has been to just build a social network where people with money can give directly to the sectors of the economy, to people or organizations that are normally funded by the government, but just have a direct connection, peer to peer connection between people with taxpayers and the public services. So that in return, you would get a receipt, and you would get a receipt that would give you however much money you gave back credits on your taxes. So that way we can cut out much of the government middleman.
Why? I mean, people are still gonna have to pay taxes. I mean, like,
Yeah,
I don't think the government's gonna. eh,
but
Also,
if
I'm
you
having a problem
yeah.
on TikTok. My videos, literally the last two, they're not getting promoted by the algorithm at all on TikTok. 0 views on this one here. I don't know what happened. I've
Oh,
contacted them, but they haven't replied. Support hasn't. It's like they've been shadow banned or something.
and well, it's I wouldn't trust
Oh, I don't
TikTok.
trust TikTok at all, but like it's a way to get views, and like I get some on there.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
I I have no footprint on TikTok. I've stayed away from that like it's the plague.
I'm on everywhere, dude. I'm on Truth Social. I'm on
Oh,
Blue Sky. I'm on Minds. I'm on Mastodon. I'm on Threads. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok, Odyssey.
yeah, I'm mainly just on uh the X Twitter app and the X Twitter app, Reddit, and maybe on Instagram, but I haven't been really using it. I've got so many other social media accounts, but I mainly just stick to those two. I mainly just stick to those two. I've been meaning to cut up part one and upload it to each individual site as individual as short clips, and
Oh,
maybe that would help.
by the
Like,
way,
yeah,
why not take it? Why not try it out with like shorts, right? YouTube
yeah,
Shorts. Um, yeah, like
that's what I've been
yeah.
trying to, but I just never got around to. I just that's the problem with me. I've got a lot of ideas and to do, and can never really find the time to do it. And when I do find the time to do it, I when I do have the time to do it, I usually forget about it. Maybe after this call is done, I'll just get right to making clips of the film, making shorts of the film. I don't.
Well, if you, I mean, I think that that could be a good idea. Kit Astro asks, do you struggle with social things?
Yeah, I've had that for most of my. You mean social media or
I know, I think he means
just?
like social interactions.
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, yeah, pretty. I'll just say yes for all of those things.
All right. Well, I think we don't have any more questions here. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for coming on, Raymond.
Thank you for
And
having.
maybe I should look
Thank
into the
you.
machine translation. I know that there's even companies that offer that service too. Machine translating the work. It might be worth it. Um,
Yeah,
but also, like, how good is the translation for like the more obscure languages? Um,
I wouldn't know.
like the only obscure one that I would even like, because I got a list of languages I want to translate it to eventually. Um, depending on how much money I raise with the Kickstarter, and how much it costs. But the most obscure one, I guess, that I would even like would be one of the Inuit languages. Um,
Yeah.
and you know, like in Nunavut and well, all throughout northern Canada, I guess the Arctic.
Hmm.
I got like an affinity with them. I've just because I had to research their culture and stuff, so I figured, well, why not pick at least one language that's dying, um, and then like reach out to those people too, and be like, hey, look, let's, because like there's
If
a
you,
lot of people who have an interest in like promoting historical languages as they're becoming endangered over time, and so I figured, why don't I reach out to someone from like that community and see if they'd be interested in translating my work into their language.
yeah, translate it into enough languages that yours might become the definitive history of Gamergate as seen
Well, that's
in
sort of
a
a
global perspective.
exactly. That's partly true. I think well, there's so many different reasons why having a different language is a good idea. Like not just like oh more sales, but like because for some of these languages I might even like take a loss actually on the translation. But um but it would be extremely useful to because like we're living in an increasingly global world and like yeah, the English narrative on Gamergate from like the English press for the most part is pretty untrue, historically inaccurate, like the English Wikipedia article. But in a lot of other languages, and Gamergate was a global movement, there's like not much on there. And like in some cases, like the other languages, from what I understand, like the media coverage is actually more positive. Like uh, Lunar Archivist was telling me that like the French ombudsman at the CBC actually did like a really good job, or a pretty good job at least. So it's like well, let's have the historical truth about Gamergate out there, and even if the English version doesn't end up being the definitive work in English, which I think it would be probably in terms of books at least, um,
When
the
our bodies return to the loam and the cities are but dust, the
having
neuromancers walking the wasteland will look upon your book and say, "It's about ethics in games journalism."
true,
Th-
true.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely having this global perspective because there's going to be scholars, there's going to be journalists, there's going to be historians, there's going to be just ordinary people all over the
Yeah.
world who are going to be learning about Gamergate through this book in a different language, and they're
Yeah.
going to know. And then, like, as those scholars like meet with their North American counterparts or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, actually, no, our findings show this instead." And like, "Oh, okay," and then like the truth is revealed that way. Um, I think that that's useful. And then I also think too that fuck, I had this whole other reason. uh, well, one, I think it would help me like get my foot in the door with like these other languages too, like the other countries and cultures, um, as like an author, which I think could be
Yeah.
useful. Have my other future works published in those languages too. But there was one other non-egotistical reason to do it, and I forget what it was. I was literally just I had it on my mind a second ago, and now it's escaped me.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Oh. Hopefully it wasn't too boring of a stream. But
yeah. Thank you for having me on, and hopefully it wasn't too much like a therapy session.
I don't care.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, man. And
Thank you for having me, and good night.
yeah, good night. All
Uh,
right, we're gonna go ahead and raid somebody here, and then we'll be closing her down.
okay.
Oh, I guess we're raiding Miru Buns, so go check her out. Yeah, make backups. Yeah, I've already done that. I've got flash drive with the stuff on it, and I've also got other stuff uploaded to other places, and yeah, on my computer as well. Cool.